Good afternoon, avant-garde family. It's almost evening and it already looks like an evening in Cape Town. It's been like this since morning. It's been a very rainy Monday, very grey, cloudy, overcast. My favorite season, though, there's just something about cold and rainy weather that for some reason brings everybody's energy to a halt. I personally enjoy that piece. Being a typical empath, who's also has the ability to sense people's energy. The moment I get into a space, I can feel each and every energy, right? I can feel your energy on a one-on-one basis. When I get into the room, I can feel the dominant energies and which side, which energies come, which side a specific energy is coming from, right? And the kind of energy that it is. It can be, it doesn't even have to be necessary. It's never a matter of black and white where it's positive, negative. Sometimes there's anxiety, sometimes there's confusion, sometimes there's shock, sometimes it's just uncomfortability or just a person here physically yet in mind and spirit just absent and elsewhere. That's how detailed I feel energy from. So everybody's mind gets so consumed with the weather, which is what we typically do with our emotions, right? We'll go through a specific experience, and based on how that experience makes us feel, we therefore dwell in that emotion, and you'll notice that our interactions, right, with everything else that's happening outside of us is informed by that emotion, comes from that place. The same as what gets triggered on that particular day or particular moment, because we're coming from that feeling of the moment. How is that weather making me feel based on the experience I'm going through now? Either I can't enjoy the great thing that's happening because um, either it's exacerbated and it feels like a domino effect of negativity because this is how the weather feels, right? Exactly what I was talking about, where I was stating, and in the previous video we did, where I talked about emotions are there to alert you of what you ought to be mindful of, right? So it's not a place of you reacting or responding from the feeling itself. You can mind the feeling. Yours is to acknowledge the feeling that, okay, so this is the feeling, but what informs that? Is it the weather? Is it specifically something that has happened that has triggered this specific feeling? Is there a specific experience, right? With that said, regardless of what it is, the emotion is still not a point to move from. So, beautiful thing about avant-garde is that ours is to empower you, right? So we want to bring psychology and put it in a position of empowerment because that's the greatest challenge or weakness within psychology. Even my favorite neuroscientists and psychologists who have produced the material that is there as a resource to empower you do not move from that position. What's absent there is what? Context, because there are those intricate individual details we have to take into consideration. And even when we share that the knowledge content here in this space, right, we give you those contexts particularly for you to be able to categorize that for yourself, which enables you to filter, right, and minimize um, the emotion or the perception of that emotion so that you get to the actual accurate reality of the moment, you know? For you to be able to have that kind of gratitude, that's not there to motivate you, but is an acknowledgement of reality in spite of whatever else is happening, right? We tend to categorize the ability to do that as resilience, but it's not always resilience. It's a way of being. It's how you should be in your most stable, healthiest, optimal state of well being, right? Where you are emotionally regulated. You are aware that there's this factor, no matter how big it is, and you can still navigate outside of it. And where you can't, because of the impact that it has, which sometimes that happens too, that is also a true reality. Because in terms of how big, how small, or how easily you can manage or regulate the specific emotion, while it will be informed by different strengths that come from your resilience, right? Your ability to be resilient, your personality in terms of traits that allow you to be able to better manage that, right? However, all of us, we are human. There are certain things that require us to stop and be in that emotion a little bit longer. Because with every emotion, you're not, just as you don't chase the emotion where you wake up and you're like, I'm chasing happiness, I just want to feel happy, I just want to be in a good mood. This is what leads to addiction, abuse of alcohol and drugs, and any other addictions as well, be it sex, be it food consumption, right? It leads to addiction, and that's not healthy, right? And it has its own detrimental effects. However, you feel and embrace the emotion, acknowledge it, and so that you understand that I need time to go through this, especially when we're mourning, whether it's a relationship or a loss of a loved one. However, then there also comes a time where you can only do this for so long as real time urgencies and certain day to day needs determine for us, which means then outside of day to day urgencies, right? You will then need to be mindful that, okay, I'm done with work, or the kids, I need help with the kids, or I live alone, but I actually need a friend, I need family, or I need to see a therapist. I need a certain coping mechanism. This is where coping mechanisms come in, right? And this is where you will refer to based on what emotion you are feeling or experiencing was triggered, if it's one of those prolonged ones due to a permanent experience that's there, right? So what's the coping mechanism? What's the healthiest one? But now, with that, choosing that, this is where self-awareness comes in, which is why I center identity at the core of mental health and well-being empowerment as far as holistic mental health is concerned, and if we're going to achieve empowerment, right? So you have to be self-aware, and specific or most important things to be mindful of as far as that is concerned. Oh, time flies. Sorry, okay, look, I'm out of time, so we're gonna continue with this a bit later, much later in the evening. I'll record the next part of it and we'll continue from there. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, pop them in there, DM me, and yeah, let's live at our optimal and live happier, healthier lives and build better quality relationships and realities for ourselves. Love and light. Happy Monday.